Hi, I'm Lindsay with Ellie and Mac Sewing Patterns. Today we're going to be working on our new gym bag. I'm really excited to get started. I've got some beautiful fabric and I've never sewn with waterproof canvas before. It's this slick waterproof surface and I'm excited to try it out and see how it goes. So you will have all of your pieces ready to go. We should have our interfacing to the back of your exterior pieces. That way it will give it more stability and structure, especially if your fabric is on the thinner side, like a quilting cotton or fabric like that. So look over the instructions and you'll kind of see which pieces are recommended to have the interfacing. I used fusible fleece for mine. I just like that for bags. It gives a nice structure. You could probably also use like a Pellin SF101. That also works well. It's up to you. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is work on our straps. So we want to make sure that we have sealed the edges, because if you don't, you can see how it's kind of frayed. This will just kind of look bad. Once you've cut it, you want to get a lighter and you just want to run the edge of that seatbelt webbing or regular webbing just a few times across the edge, and this is essentially melting it a little, but that's what seals that end. Don't touch it right after it's been in the heat because it'll be hot. You can just repeat this step for all 4 edges. If you have some kind of hanging off like this, it's best to just trim those away, because if you go ahead and put it in the flame, it kind of catches on fire and does a weird thing on the edge. It'll give you a weird bubble. So I recommend just going ahead and cutting that before you begin. Now that I have my ends sealed, we are going to grab the top exterior part of our bag and we're going to use the placements from the pattern piece, mark our pattern, and then put on our straps. When I marked my front top exterior piece here, I used chalk, so it's going to be difficult to see in this really busy fabric, but I'll show you where it is. This is the bottom of the top piece. This is the bottom edge. Here is my rectangle that I drew with my chalk. This is where we're going to put our straps. We're going to repeat the same process for the other one, but just so you see. We want to first make sure that our strap is not like twisted. This can happen. You're kind of in the moment sewing and you realize after you've sewn it and done such a nice job that your strap is twisted. This is deflating, so it's best to just make sure ahead of time that it isn't. What I like to do is I'm gonna lay my strap like this on my pattern piece, and you can see that it kind of just goes up and around like that. Okay, that way I know it's not twisted. Now if your strap, does something like that, it's twisted. Okay, so double, triple check, just so that you don't have to redo this step, because once you've done it, you really don't want to have to seam rip it out. We are going to just position our strap using that box, and if you've drawn the lines all the way down, like on the pattern piece, you can use those for reference too. But we're just gonna use a clip or a pin to secure our strap at the bottom. I might double clip, just to be sure it doesn't shift. There we go. The next thing you want to make sure is that you know where you are stitching. So I'm using this rectangle that I drew as a reference, and I'm just kind of like pushing my webbing down to see where it ends. So for me, it's just right before this white line, just like right there. Okay, so that's where that is. So I know I want to sew right up to just under this pin and then see if I like that, like it securing it that way. I don't know until I get over to my sewing machine what I'll think, but at the moment it sounds like a brilliant idea. Okay, so now what we're going to do is do the same steps to the other piece. Make sure that you've got the bottom at the bottom. So when you have both top exterior pieces like ready to go with your strap, you are going to go to your sewing machine and you're going to sew with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance up one side of your webbing strap, across where you drew your rectangle, back down just to where that bottom part of your rectangle is. Then you're gonna sew back over to the other line and then make an X, because we're trying to make this really secure where the end of those stitches are, because it's a strap and we're gonna be carrying heavy things possibly to the gym or wherever. So we wanna make sure that we've got that secure. And so making a little rectangle like it's drawn on the pattern piece with the X through it really adds some stability. So then once you've done that, you'll go all the way back down the other edge. I just try to kind of do that in that fluid motion. If you want to go up one side, across, and all the way back down, and then go up and finish the rectangle, that's also fine. As long as you've gotten your rectangle secured with the X, you should be just fine. Let's go sew that, and then we can move to the next step. When you're finished, your straps should look like this. You see my X? It's very exciting. So now what we're gonna do is go get our bottom exterior piece, and we're going to line up our top and bottom and then sew across. So I'm gonna go grab it and I'll be right back. So you want to use your top exterior piece like a guide to make sure that you have the right side of this bottom exterior piece. Place our top exterior piece right sides together with our bottom exterior piece. Also note I have interfaced the bottom with the fleece. Once you have that pinned or clipped, we're going to use 3/8 of an inch seam allowance for this entire pattern unless I tell you otherwise or it's stated otherwise in the tutorial. And we're going to sew down each end to secure the top exterior to the bottom exterior. And then we're going to press that seam toward the bottom. And then we're gonna top stitch with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just to give it a really nice finish. All right, so let's go do that. I'm using the guide on my sewing machine. It has all these seam allowance guides, which I think is fantastic. So I am just using that as a guide while I sew and just lining up my pattern pieces with that edge of the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. What it looks like from this way. Okay, and then we're gonna go press the seam down toward the bag, and we're gonna top stitch. So a tip for dealing with the extra bit over here is I like to roll it up like into a roll like this, and then it goes right through my sewing machine without getting in the way. So you can do that if you like. Just find it really helps me when I'm sewing. Now we're gonna work on the interior zipper pocket. So zippers can sometimes scare people, but there's no need to be afraid. Once you do it, you'll see it's really not as hard as it looks. So for this, we're going to have our interior zipper lining with your welt mark drawn out with chalk or a fabric pen, and then your pocket bag. I did them in 2 different pinks so that you'll be able to kind of tell the difference, hopefully, in the video. An important step that you don't want to skip is that you want to put a strip that's wider than your welt pocket here, just like this. Okay, and I use a zipper tape, which is like buying it on a roll, kind of like this. It's continuous, and you measure and you cut it, and then I'm gonna put my zipper pull on myself. The nice thing about zipper tape is that you can cut it exactly the length you need, and often it comes in, you know, a yard, 3 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, etc. So I buy most of mine in 5-yard cuts because then it goes then I get more for my money that way. This is actually from a different project and I have enough left over that I can use it for this one too. I think the first thing we should do is put on our interfacing, and then we'll come back and I will show you how to get these pieces going. There's the interfacing and there's the front, okay? So both pieces are that way, and I'm gonna take my welt marking for my liner, and I'm gonna take my pocket and place the welt markings on top of each other. Now, a really fun, easy way to make sure you get them marked correctly is to take pins, and you're going to poke a hole in the back of the liner so that you're right in the corner of your welt box. Just like that. I kind of do both at first. Now you're going to take this corner and put it on the pin at the same point for the pocket. And that now is really going to match up that box. Okay, and then you can just kind of push that pin through. Now, if you do that, and you're like, oh, my piece won't lay flat, you can adjust your pins and, you know, adjust your box just a little. Now, using that first mark and a ruler, we want to connect these pins with a line like that so that we know where to sew. Now you can do the same thing, the bottom corners. Then, okay, and now we're just going to take our ruler and line it up like that. Okay, now we're gonna go and we're gonna sew a row of stitches here and a row of stitches here. And you'll have 2 parallel rows of stitches. We aren't gonna sew the whole box like you drew. That is just our welt pocket. So let's go sew these straight lines and then we'll come back and I'll tell you what to do next. Your stitches should look like that. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to draw a line right through the center here. I'll use pencil so you can see it. Okay, and then a 1/2 inch from this edge, we're going to draw in like a little triangle here, okay? Just like that. Okay, now we're gonna take scissors, and I like to start in the middle and then kind of make my way up. Going to, just to make a hole. You wanna clip just right up to these stitches, but not through them when you get to the corner. That's very important. So go slow, inch your way toward that stitch. And get as close as you can without going through it. And so when you're done, it'll look like that. You have this little triangle hanging down. Okay, we're gonna flip it, and I flip to the next side and do it. But I find if I start in the middle, that just makes it easier to get this line. Make sure you keep your fabric out from under while you're doing this snipping, because you don't want to cut your fabric. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go press this box all around like this. So we're gonna press down, press the sides, and press the bottom up to this stitch line. Once you've pressed it, you're going to push the pocket through to the back of the liner. There we go. You just wanna start arranging the box by kind of finger pressing that seam down like that. Okay. All right. Once you have it like this, you want to go press it again so that it's nice and secure. Now that you have that done, we're moving on to the zipper stage. I told you, don't be worried, it's okay. So you want to separate your zipper a little like that. And we're going to trim off just a smidge, maybe 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you're gonna take your zipper pull, holding it like this and holding your zipper pull down like that. We're gonna feed the long end through the left side, not very far, just a little, and then you wanna feed this right end in as well to the right side. Okay. And then, while holding both, you just wanna zip, okay? So what we're gonna do now, kind of wanna move this down just a little. It's best if you do a few stitches at the ends now that you have your zipper pull on, just to secure them so that the zipper pull doesn't come off. With our zipper secured at the edges, I'm going to use double-sided tape. I got this at Wawak. It's got a lot of great resources for sewing, everything from thread to double-sided tape. They have everything. So if you're looking for a great place that has excellent prices and fast shipping, that's a good one. I'm not an affiliate, I just really like the store. All right, so I'm gonna cut this the length here of my zipper, and I just like to put it back here away from the actual place I'm gonna be stitching, and I just kind of ease it down so that it gets on there evenly. Okay, and then I just cut off the end and then do the other side. So that's how the tape looks on the zipper. Now it gets tricky when you take the film or the protectant paper off the double-sided tape. It gets really sticky and it's gonna wanna stick to your fingers and it's gonna wanna stick to this zipper pull, but it's okay, it'll take some maneuvering, give yourself some time, and just, get it right. So I'm gonna go ahead and flip my piece now, just so that it's already ready like this. You're gonna do it from the right side and you're gonna put the zipper underneath at the wrong side. Go. Okay, now you want your zipper to have the pull ending at the right side. So just slide that down since I don't want to touch the tape. Okay, then you want to center it. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna start at this end. I can see where my stitches are and I'm gonna go just inside of those and try to center my little window like that. I'm just gonna stick that for a sec. I think I'm gonna do the bottom first. The space between my edge and the zipper in the middle here even, which can be tricky, especially when you're around the zipper hole. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now I'm gonna flip this guy down and hopefully be able to go across the top now. I will let you know that it gets easier with practice because this used to take me a lot longer and that went pretty quick. So now that you have it secured with your tape, it's not going to move around or shift, which is great because it's a pain when your zipper is moving around, you're trying to get it nicely. So now we're going to sew around the square that we drew originally, so around the entire zipper in a rectangle. I like to start in the center of one of the long edges, and I like to go to the corner, stop my machine right at the corner, lift my presser foot, pivot, go straight down, stop at the corner, lift my presser foot, pivot, then go all the way down that long edge, and just continue that process till you get back at the beginning. This just helps to make it easier than just like stopping at the right edge. You can do it however works for you. That's just something that I found that worked really well. So we're gonna go put a zipper foot on our sewing machine, and we're going to stitch with like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance just right around this. We're really just gonna edge stitch around our rectangle. You'll need to move your zipper pull a couple times probably, but that's okay. Your zipper should stay put because of the tape. Okay, when you're done, on the front, your pocket should look like that. So now we're gonna turn it to the wrong side here, and you can trim away excess. Don't cut through your stitches. Make sure you're not cutting your... Now, we're going to take our pocket bag and we're going to fold it up just like this. We're just going to sew up one edge across the top and back down the other edge. This creates our zipper pocket where you can put all your stuff. Okay, up, across, down. That's what your finished bag looks like. You turn it around. We can get in our bag, put lots of fun things in there. We can zip it all the way up. Okay, so we're gonna put this away for now because we're going to be working on our main zipper. Okay, so we're getting closer. We're going to do another zipper. Again, if you've already done the first zipper, the second zipper should be just a little easier. And then every time, a little bit easier. Don't give yourself too much pressure. Just take it step by step. So I have my zipper tape again, and we're gonna fold our bag like this with our little handles out of the way. So cut my zipper tape the length of my exterior. I cut it just a touch past that, but we are going to start with one end. Just move that like this. And we are going to keep this handle down. If you need to, you can pin it or whatever. And we are going to match it up like this. Note the wrong side of my zipper should be facing me, and the right side should be facing your top exterior piece, okay? We're gonna clip it all the way down. You could tape this if you wanted, but I think it should be okay just to clip it because we're going to now put the liner on top of this and then sew all the layers together. Before we do that, we want to make a marking on our zipper. We want to mark where the edge is, like that, on both. So the edge of our bag, both sides. Because we're going to take this zipper apart and put the other side on the other side of our bag, and when we do that, we don't want to misalign our zipper because then it will be zipped up kind of wonky. It should help us to get a good alignment when we're doing our sewing. So I have 2 marks there. Just for good measure, you can also mark further up just a smidge, just so that when you are aligning it, you can tell that it's gonna be correct. Okay, want to make sure it's the right orientation to the bag. So match up the width of the top pieces, and that's how we're gonna do it. So I'm going to place my liner piece right sides on top of the zipper that is wrong sides up to me right now. So I have my right side of the exterior bag facing up, facing me. I have the wrong side of the zipper facing me, so the right side is facing the bag. Now I'm going to take the liner and I'm going to place it for the right side down, facing the bag's right side. This will just enclose the zipper in between the 2 exterior and liner pieces. And I just lift I don't take my clip off that I've clipped, I just like open it a little so I can maneuver my lining piece in there. Okay, we are gonna go sew across that with a 3/8 inch seam allowance using a zipper foot. Now, if your zipper already has a pull, go ahead and take that off. Or if you haven't put one on yet, just simply take off the other side. So we are now going to put that on the opposite side, just like we did before. And I know I didn't put the tape on the first time, but it still wanted to shift around. So I'm gonna go ahead and double side tape the edge of this one, just because I know it'll keep it secure this time, and then I won't have to fight the sewing process quite so much. I had to keep aligning it and realigning it. Should be able to see the marks you made on your zipper. So take a look, find the marks, and make sure you have it lined up to the right edge, because if you put this edge over here, it's not gonna work right. Stick it on at the edge. Okay, now you're gonna take your other end of your liner piece, and you're just gonna place that right sides on top of your zipper. And you can clip it across again if you want. Now we're just gonna go sew down the edge of this with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And we just wanna make sure we keep the straps and extra fabric out of the way while we're sewing. Go slow, maneuver your fabric as you need, and then we'll move on to the next step. We're getting really close. It's all kind of coming together. Now you should have a ginormous bag. I mean, if you're making a big bag. So we're gonna turn it right side out. Now you want to take your liner, we have our zipper, and we want to pull that liner away from the zipper. We're going to press this seam toward the bag, the right side of the exterior bag, and then you're going to edge stitch all down the side of the zipper on both sides. But you want to keep the liner pulled out and away while you do that top stitching. So I've already done one side, so I can show you what that looks like. So there is top stitching here, but my liner is still free and it pulls away and it's not caught in that top stitching. Okay, that's really important. So I'm gonna go do the other side and then we'll move on to the sides. Your edge stitching should look like that. There should be no stitching back here, and your strap should be clear of being caught in that. So place your bag down, the liner facing you, fold it in, and then place the straps backward like that. Now we are going to put on our zipper pull. I will probably, let's see, we want to zip it, zip left to right. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to use my zipper foot. This is the mouth, and I'm going to put it with that mouth going down toward my zipper. So I'm going to take, so the right side, goes in first, and then the left side. Okay, then pull. You want to keep your liner out of the way. Okay, and what you're going to do is actually pull this zipper all the way off, and that seems silly or a little bit odd, but we're actually closing the zipper so it's nice and closed. Like that. So you're just going to go all the way off. We're actually going to take that same zipper pull and we're going to put it on again. So we're just gonna pull it apart just a smidge so we can put it back on. You can use a zipper pull jig for this if you want to get the zipper on. I have one, but For some reason I just prefer to do it this way, probably because I haven't played with that tool a whole lot yet. I've just been used to putting it on with my fingers. All right. Okay, and now you have a closed zipper with zipper pull in the middle, and it just looks nice. It's looking good. I think that the colors look good together, and I think it's really nice. Fold your shoe bag in half with right sides facing and sew the seam. Quarter your bag so that one of the seams is a quarter point. Insert your bag wrong side out inside the shoe compartment and align at the ends. Mark your quarter points. Baste in place to secure all of the layers. Your bag should look like this and be ready for the side. So we're going to put this aside for now, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the sides. I chose to do my stripes for my exterior pieces, and then pink for the liners. So we are going to also be working with the mesh piece. If you don't have mesh, that's fine. You can use a regular piece of fabric just like this, or any coordinate that you want for the outside. And we are going to be putting fold over elastic, or FOE, over the top edge of our mesh piece. And this is just going to give it a nice finish. It also allows it to stretch a little if your mesh is stretchy, and to allow for stuffing things inside the end of your bag. So let's get that out of the way. We'll take our piece, our mesh piece here, and there are two sides to your FOE. You have the elastic side, you've got kind of the fuzzy side, and I am going to just mine on the fuzzy side. I think it really matters. It's up to you, the preference of like the look you want. And then fold it over in half and clip it. Now this elastic is designed to fold over and be stitched. That's why it's called a fold over elastic, and it has a little groove down the center that just makes it easy to see where that fold is, and just to fold evenly across. It's pretty easy to work with, and I find it fairly forgiving, which is nice. Your mesh piece, or if you used fabric, it would be the same way. Should look like this. If you don't have fold over elastic, no worries. You can use double fold bias and just bind the edge, just like I'm doing with the fold over elastic. You just fold over the binding, the bias tape, and just sew crossed. Okay, so this is what it looks like with the finished look. I used hot pink on the back so you could see the lightning stitch there. Normally I would use the same color thread. And this is what that will look like when we're done. I'm going to pin the mesh to the side panel, just the exterior, not the lining. So you want the wrong side of your mesh to be against the right side so that both right sides are facing you. Now I'm gonna go stitch right around here, just to baste it in place. Your side pocket should look like that now. Kind of cool. So now we just need to do the piping, and we will do that next. Now we're going to work on our piping. Take your piping and clip it so that your edge, not the piping part, is lined up with the edge of your side panel. You're going to go all around clipping this as you go. When you get to the end, you want to clip, and then you're going to cut off a little longer than your actual side panel so that it goes past it where you started. Now you want to overlap the end where you started. Make sure that the edge that you started is at the edge of your seam allowance, and then cross over and clip. Make sure when you're doing your pocket with the side mesh that you don't end your piping at the top of your mesh pocket like I did. So make sure, double check, triple check, that your piping will end at the bottom of your side panel pieces. Now you're going to sew around your piping on each side panel. When you get to the bottom, just make sure that you cross over the edge that's under where you started your clipping. Your side panel should look like that.
Now repeat the same step for the other side panel.
So the first thing that you want to do to prepare this is to put a zipper pull on each end. So we're going to end up with two that face each other. So here are my two zippers, and when we have them in the middle, they'll be facing each other like this. Starting at one end, I'm just going to place the zipper on. Okay, and then this one, do the same. Your zipper should look like that. The next thing we're going to do is take one of our gussets. This is my exterior, but they're both the same. So if your lining and exterior are different, you want to make sure your exterior is right sides facing your zipper. And we're just going to put it on an end like this and just clip it. Flip your zipper over. Now put your liner piece face down onto the same spot. So your zipper should be sandwiched in between the two gusset pieces, the exterior facing the zipper. Now we're gonna go and just sew right here using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance to secure. Now that you have that done, you're going to take these pieces out like this. You can just give that a good press with your fingers. We are gonna top stitch that. So now with your zipper right side up again, open up your gusset and pull the exterior gusset to the other end, right sides facing. Make sure that your gusset and zipper are not twisted during this process. Flip it again. All right, and then flip it over so the underside, the wrong side of your zipper is showing, and now bring over the liner piece of your gusset and add it. We now have the other end of your zipper secured. We just want to make sure that when we take it right side out, it will be correct. So make sure you look at it, and that with it wrong side out, kind of like a necklace, let's go sew the other end. Let's go over and edge stitch right along this edge on both sides of your zipper, just to secure that all into a nice loop, right? It should be a nice loop, perfect for putting around our shoe compartment. And so the next thing we're going to do is quarter it. So we're going to find the bottom, which is here. And you can either mark it, or you could do a little clip if you want. And then the top, the opposite corner of that. Okay, now we're gonna find the side. So we're gonna match up the top and the bottom to evenly find the sides. Okay, if that is quartered, we're going to add it to our side piece.
Now, take your side panel with a mesh and place on the template. Clip around the marked quartered sections, and then you're going to take your chalk and use the marking to make the strap marking. Now we're going to start working on the connector with the D-ring. So we're going to put our connector piece through the D-ring, fold it over so it's about halfway down the side, as you see, and then fold the other end up to meet it. So they should just match up at the edge so that that seam is going to be in the center underneath when we stitch. Clip it to secure, and it should look like this. Okay, and we're going to repeat that for the other D-ring, and then you're going to just match it up with the marking that you made, and this is where we're going to sew it. I decided to use my double-sided tape. I lifted up the clip, put the double-sided tape, and then pressed in the short ends to match so it would stay secure in the back without the clips. And now I'm going to put more tape on and then use that tape to secure it over the marking on my side panel. Press well, and then do the same thing for the other. Now sew around with a rectangle and an X to secure. Then we'll add the lining.
I'm going to start with this one. Remember to keep your D-ring down. And I'm still using my zipper foot. I might just go here so I can see my piping. Make sure you caught all of your ends and set it to the side.
Now we're going to take our gusset And we are going to match the center tops together and the other quartered sections. And I'm just going to overlap and then place it under the clip that's already there. Repeat this for the other quartered sections. And then we're going to clip in between along the edge as we go, just to secure it and keep it, all along the edge for us. So it'll be easy when we go and sew the gusset to the side. Now we're going to go sew around it using our zipper foot. It can be easier to have your zipper unzipped and to remember to move your zipper pulls as you go so that they're not in your way when you're sewing. Check your seam, then clip FOE around the edges.
Okay, you can trim some of these extra seam edges off if you have some kind of sticking out. Okay, and we're going to fold over . I'm going to use a zigzag stitch for this process. I find that it's more forgiving, so it looks nicer, as well as it really helps to catch things if they're trying to shift. So you can do a straight stitch if you want, that is perfectly fine. I am just more comfortable with it this way, so that's what I'm going to do. Remember to move your zipper pulls out of the way as you go when you have the space. So then you have your inside bound, and we can put on our shoe compartment now.
With your bag turned inside out, put your side piece and gusset right sides facing the right side of the shoe compartment opening. Staple or baste each quarter point and then add clips around. Pin or clip the opposite panel and sew. Your bag should now look like this. Take your time and sew around to secure the zipper gusset to the side of the bag.
If you need to move your zipper around, I am actually like sticking my hand through my bag, and I'm going to, with my needle in the fabric, lift my presser foot and just gently like ease the presser foot or the zipper pull like out and behind this if I can. It's a little, there we go. And I gotta do the other one because I kept them both over here. Okay, now that that's out of the way, now you have your zipper side connected, and we'll just bind our seam. Now let's turn our bag right side out. Looks like I have one little spot here that didn't quite catch, so I'm gonna need to go just back through really quick and fix that. And then after I do that, what we're gonna do is you're gonna pull your shoe bag out from the opening here. You're going to pin it closed like this and then sew down this edge to secure. I'm gonna fix my little spot that didn't get caught, and I'm gonna sew across this. And then we will move on to the strap. But isn't this such a beautiful bag? I love it. I'm so excited about how it turned out, and I am really happy with my choice of fabric. Also, working with this waterproof canvas was great. I really wondered if it would be, you know, like difficult to work with, but it really wasn't. It was great. So let's get this done. Push your shoe bag to the wrong side. You can push out these seams and zip up your bag. There's your bag. So you could give your bag a good steam, which would be nice. It'll get it looking really good. And we're gonna work on the adjustable shoulder strap now. Let's work on the optional shoulder pad. We're going to take the rectangle pieces and place them right sides together. And then you're gonna sew across the top and bottom. I'm gonna prepare both pieces before I sew. That'll make it go a little quicker. To do the padding, it's optional, but I use 2 pieces of foam interfacing and fuse them together for this piece because I didn't have padding locally, of foam locally to buy, and I ran out of time. So I use this, and this is an option for you as well if you find yourself in a similar position. You're gonna place that foam down in the center of one of the shoulder strap pieces. Then you're gonna place the other piece on top, and you're going to pin or clip all the way around. I used a lot of clips because I don't want the padding on the inside to shift around. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna sew around this, just basting it with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, and that'll secure that padding inside. We're gonna sew across each end of this rectangle piece, just the short ends. All right, so now you have your basted shoulder strap, and we've also done our stitches on both ends. I'm gonna turn it right side out, trim away the strings, and then we're gonna go press it like this on the ends. Now that you have both pieces ready to go, you're going to place your rectangle right in the center of your shoulder pad. We're going to clip it in place and then sew down each side, but just to baste it. So we're just gonna baste it within the seam allowance that's already there. You don't wanna sew in, like, past the seam allowance, just like that. That should leave you with a little pouch like this. So look, I'm put my fingers in between, and that's where our strap's gonna go. I'm gonna trim away some of the seam allowance down to about 1/4 of an inch so that when I put the binding on, it'll look really nice. So again, you could use fold over elastic to bind this. You could use double folded bias tape. It depends on your preference. We are going to take our bias binding here, and I went over to the iron and I pressed it, and as I pressed it with steam, I kind of did it in this curve so that it will kind of go around the curves more easily now. It's going to start around one edge and clip as we go. Kind of want to just gently pull, stretch it a little around these curves. Just really help that curve aspect to be taking place. Now we're gonna go sew in this fold line and come back. Okay, now we're gonna trim around our seam allowance down to 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now we are going to fold over the bias so it goes over the seam. Just gonna stitch around that. Or our shoulder strap will slide right through here in the back. We're gonna take one end and we're gonna take our slider. It might look like this, it might look a little different. Either way, it will have an edge, a middle bar, and an edge. We're gonna call this the bottom, all right? And we're gonna go under the bottom, like through the bottom from the underneath, over the middle bar, and then back down like that. We just pull it just a little. We are going to fold this 1.5 inches. Just kind of give it a good finger press right there. And then we're going to slide that down so that that is just like so, okay? Now we're going to go and we're going to stitch in a square around this to secure it. And when you're doing that, you just kind of like move this out of the way. So you're not gonna stitch right up close, you're gonna be more down here about a 1/2 inch from the edge, and you just move it as you go. So now we need to put on our first swivel hook. You wanna have your stitching up facing you. So this is the wrong side of your strap. We want it like this, and we're going to just walk our hands down so we keep that wrong side up. Now I did not have an 1.5 inches for my swivel hook, so I am gonna just fold it and pull it in. You can, I mean, it's obviously best to use the size that's suggested, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. So you pull it down like that, and when I have a smaller hook, I just kind of bend it so that it looks like that. So it's gonna be down to the table. You've got your wrong side stitched up facing you. Walk your hand back so that you still have the underside. Now we're gonna flip it. Now the underside's facing this, and we're gonna go up through this hole and down through that hole. Okay? And it should be like that. Okay. Now we are going to add on the other swivel hook. And remember, this is our right side, and I still have the right side up. I'm gonna fold this in a little, and I'm gonna press this with it face down so that it is down like this one, like that. And then, if you were going to use the shoulder strap, you would want to go ahead and place it on now. Okay, just like that. Okay, this goes to your arm, that's the padded part, and this goes up and your strap goes through. I'm not gonna use my shoulder strap, so with this right side up, this time we are going to put our hook on right side up, okay? So one down, one up. Now we are going to press under that 1.5 inch again, and then pull down that hook, and we're going to sew it just like that, okay? So your hook will be here. You're gonna sew your rectangle or your square with the X through it to secure it, and then your strap is finished. Okay, so here is our bag. All right, we have the handles, we've got our adjustable strap on. So nice. And we did it. What did you think? I love the way it turned out. I really like the fabric choices. The strap was pretty easy, and I feel like this is so cool. Now I can take this to the gym. I can't wait, I'm going today. I hope you had a good time. Thank you for sewing along with me. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'd love to hear what you plan to use to make your bag. Come post pictures of it and share it in our Facebook group or tag us on social media. We'd love to repost you. Have a great day. Until next time.